Hi, my name is Andre Turan. I'm an ACE certified fitness trainer specializing in women's fitness and fitness training for seniors. I've co-produced programs that were broadcast on PBS television, such as The Art of Health, and I was also a contributing writer to a number of New York Times bestsellers, such as The Ultimate Anti-Aging Program and Get Healthy Now. I was also contributing writer to a book, a 2002 release called Women's Health Solutions by Gary Null, for whom I facilitated health studies of over 12,000 people. That's 12,000 people. And I got to see things that cannot be unseen. I got to see misconceptions many people have, many women have, about exercising for greater health. And in the case of today's program, for bone health and muscular strength. What I present in my workouts at workoutwizard.net is 80% non-impact range of motion training. And this is to stimulate anabolism in the body. So what is anabolism? Anabolism is the body's ability to build itself up. The opposite is catabolism, to break it down. And so we're going to give some examples a little bit later in this program of what types of trainings we do at workoutwizard.net that help build the body back up to stimulate growth hormone, which is so important, especially for women who are in menopause, when your sex hormones, estrogen, for example, decrease substantially in the body. A lot of what estrogen was doing for your body, the protective components of estrogen's behavior in the body, can be mimicked with growth hormone. And this is another hormone that your body has an abundance of. However, you have to stimulate it in a certain way. And the best way to stimulate it is through certain types of exercises. I'm going to be showing you those exercises in a little while. First of all, I'd like to speak about creating the demand. This is a term I made up to represent what it takes to actually stimulate the body in a certain way, to produce hormones, to build lean muscle, to build and strengthen bones as well. You need to create a demand. But in order to understand what it means to create a demand, you have to understand the mechanism that takes place in the body. And what the body recognizes typically is just that it's either in the on position or it's in the off position. So if you're creating a demand, it goes both ways. You can create a demand by being sedentary. That actually is a message, an impulse that you're giving to your body. And when you're sedentary, your body is then given the message to release hormones that are catabolic when you're excessively sedentary. That's not what you want. You want to release hormones that are anabolic, that build your body up. And now there is a difference. Obviously, we do need to rest and recover, especially if we're exercising. And so there is a difference between just resting and recovering from being excessively sedentary. And I'm going to get a little bit into some numbers here so you get a perspective on it. You might have heard about the 10,000 steps per day. That's one way of measuring it. Some people use their Fitbit. Some people just use a pedometer. That's one measure. There's another measure, which is what I prefer actually, because it includes a lot of other types of movements, like the movements I'm going to be showing you, is calories per week. You could even look at it when you walk a mile. The average mile walked is about 100 calories. So in a week, how many calories are required for the body to qualify for adequate activity, for longevity, for really releasing some growth hormone, depending on the moves that you do, and burning body fat, boosting the metabolism? What's that magic number? There is a magic number. In my observation, in my studies, that number is around 2,000 calories per week, which I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you, but it's about 285 calories per day. Really not that much. It's just that when it's relative to being sedentary, it might seem like a lot. 285 calories per day comes to just shy of 3 miles of walking per day. And that's really not that much. But we need to take the time out to do this. There are movements that are ideal just to keep the calories burning. Obviously, there's walking, there's biking. Some people like swimming. Some of these basic aerobic activities, or just doesn't even have to be aerobic, you just have to get those steps in, are very good for laying down a foundation and beginning to build some bone. But there are higher levels in terms of how you approach your movement, and I'm going to get into that shortly. So you'll see what those movements are, and you can do them at home. You can do it's for all levels, and they're non-impact and safe. You won't need much equipment at all. So the question is, what is the proper way to stimulate your body so that you're in the on position in terms of anabolism, which is building the body up? So I'm going to take a little quote here from the National Institutes for Health. And according to the National Institutes for Health, exercise is among the primary modifiable factors capable of influencing bone health. So this is specifically bone health. And so now let's talk about muscular strength. Can this be done at any age? By anyone? You know the answer is yes, absolutely. But you have to create a demand on the body. And the key to understand what it feels like is important. And a lot of people don't like hearing this, but I think it's very important to understand that there is a zone. You're either in a comfort zone or you're slightly out of your comfort zone. You do want to be out of your comfort zone. So the movements that actually stimulate growth hormone, that stimulates the anabolic process in the body, they're feelings, these are feeling uncomfortable movements where you're flexing your muscles. And it might even put your body in a position that's just not comfortable, but that's what we want. I've observed, and this is just another way I've presented it to my clients, is we develop lazy pockets of muscles. I have them. And I know that genetically, some people have different lazy pockets of muscles that they develop. Some people it's more in the hips, some people it's more around the core. I have a lot of it around the core. And usually what you don't like to do, that's where you're developing your lazy pockets of muscles, where it's most uncomfortable. And that's what people avoid. They try to avoid that. So you want to get to stimulate those pockets of muscles. What I'm going to show you is more of a total body training, but it's important to understand this concept that if you want to stimulate muscle strength, increase your strength, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. Also, it's very, very important to understand that if you have osteoporosis, you want to avoid exercises that have excessive bending or stretching exercises built in, and you want to avoid excessively high impact exercises. So when you're a little bit susceptible to issues with the joints when you have osteoporosis, and you don't want too much jumping around. You want to create an increase in the force in the muscles that will then stimulate bone growth and stimulate muscle strengthening. And that can be a gentle process. It doesn't have to be brute force. A lot of people think they have to be jumping around, doing all sorts of very aggressive movements, and it's not so. You don't have to. You can do low impact movements, and then as your bone density increases, and you're gaining strength, then you could start to add in the high impact exercises, even movements that are more lateral, even more bending and stretching. But this is an important note for those of you that do have osteoporosis. And what I'm going to show you is going to be ideal. It's going to be low impact and gentle on the body. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to increase your strength and start from where you are. And if you commit yourself to it, the sky's the limit. And now finally, before I actually show you these movements, I want you to understand a concept that was brought about by some NASA research, over 30 years of NASA research led by Dr. Joan Vernikos. And she concluded, and it's a very simple conclusion, but it's powerful, especially for fitness training concepts and designing programs. She discovered that it's really movements up against gravity that are most effective in releasing anabolic hormones and namely an enzyme, for example, called lipoprotein lipase, which helps mobilize fat out of your cells. Lipoprotein lipase. Up against gravity. So standing up. Standing up is a movement up against gravity. Walking forward is not a movement up against gravity. Swimming is not. Biking is not. This is a tough thing to understand. You will burn calories from those other moves, but you're not going to get that hormonal benefit. So what we're going to do here is we're going to combine calorie burning with more of a hormonal benefit. So that's the program that I've laid out for you today. I put a little circuit together. You can make it a circuit, or you could just run through it once. And each time will be about 10 calories, roughly. I've estimated the calories here. Pretty close, though. So I'm going to look at this list here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movements that we're going to do. That's it. And all you're going to need for these movements, I have right behind me here, we have a couple of chairs and a mat. And that's all you're going to need. So make sure the chairs are safe. If you want to put it up against a wall, that makes it very safe. I'm on a good solid floor here, and I have some rubber stoppers on the bottom of my chairs here, so it's not going to slide on me. But make sure, you could put them on a yoga mat, for example, but that's important, that you're most secure with your movements. You're not going to be sliding around. So this is what I'm going to show you. This is your bone strengthening, muscle strengthening circuit. Okay, so the 5 movements that I've assembled for you today, we're going to have the range of motion, movements that are non-impact up against gravity. That's going to stimulate hormones and burn some calories. The most important move the body can do that's non-impact and does this for the body is the squat. I'm sure you've heard of the squat. I'm going to show you a way to do it that's optimally safe. Very important to learn the proper form of a squat. It's not a knee bend, and that's really important to understand. The second move is going to be what I call the mountain climber push-up. And that's going to use the chairs. Third move is going to be on the floor, on the mat. It's going to be for the abs. It's called a banana or dead bug. Fourth move is Superwoman, Superman, whatever you want to call it. And then finally a reverse plank. This will get the Superman or Superwoman exercise on the floor, and the reverse plank get the muscles of the back chain of muscles, so the hamstrings, the buttocks, the upper back muscles. Very important to balance everything out, especially if you're working the front of your musculature as well. This is where you get more of a total body experience. So with the squats, you're going to get the up against gravity hormone stimulation, and with the other 4 movements, you're going to increase the functionality and strength of your muscles overall. So now let me show you the proper form of the squat. What's important to understand is basically a squat, and let me get a chair here, maybe this would be the best way to show it. A squat is just sitting and standing. That's basically what it is. In this case, I'm not entirely sitting on the chair. I'm just tipping the buttocks to the chair and then standing up. And the key is you want to keep the shoulders behind the knees and the knees as far behind the toes as you can without keeping yourself too upright. You can bend forward a little bit at the waist. So that's the key, is what you don't want to do is this. And this is really, really, really important. Is you want to avoid this. See the knees coming forward? That's too much torque on the knees. And squatting had gotten a reputation as being hard on the knees, but that's knee bends. Squatting is a very different action. Uses the bigger muscle groups, and the bigger muscle groups are going to get you more aerobic and stimulate that growth hormone. So that's going to be the key. Now, I'm going fairly deep here. You don't have to go that deep. Find the range that you're comfortable with. Eventually, through time, you will go deeper. It's all a matter of practice. So those are the keys to it. Now, from the front perspective, what you want to make sure is you don't buckle in, or you make sure you don't bow out at the knees. The way you can adjust this is through the soles of your feet. So if you're looking in a mirror, you might want to kind of take this movement and kind of master it first, because it's very, very important. So if I'm going to buckle in like this, I would put my weight on the outside of my feet. And the key is you want to see your knees tracking in line. Right? So now they're not buckling in. So if I were someone, and everybody's different with this, depends on how you use your body. If I were someone that bowed out, some people just bow out like that, I would put the weight on the inside of the feet. And the deeper you breathe, the longer your exhalations, the more calories you'll actually burn in the workout. Okay, so we've got a couple of different angles there. So we're pushing back, like you're sitting back in an imaginary chair. Now, if that's too hard for you, that's okay. You can use your hands. You can do what I call the push-up squat. Push-up squat, you turn your fingers in. Right above the knees, you push yourself up. Take the pressure off. And of course, you can use the chair if you want to as well. In the beginning, it's a great way to get used to doing a squat safely. Whatever you're comfortable with. The key is not to put yourself in a situation where you're overwhelmed or demotivated because you think it's too hard. Just remember, it's just standing and sitting. That's all that it really is. So if you need a chair for that right now, do it. Whatever it takes. And you'll build your confidence up. All you have to do is show up. That's the key. All right, so the first move is squatting. However you do it, whether it's on the chair or push-up squats, it's perfectly fine. Second move is the mountain climber push-up. Sounds scary. Not so scary. Basically, you're on an angle, and I'm in between the chairs. I have two chairs here, and I'm in between for a reason. You can do it with one chair. It's a little easier with two, though. So a mountain climber looks nothing like climbing a mountain. It's more like marching. So that's all I'm doing. I'm basically just doing this. Without swinging the arms, that is, right? That's all I'm doing. If you don't have the upper body strength yet, what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself out here. Right? A lot of people start like this. But try to get your shoulders right over the palms. That's going to recruit the core. So I'm pushing my heels back, landing on the balls of my feet. And you can do 1 foot at a time. A lot of people start like this. That's perfectly fine. Eventually, you want to try to get this switch. Boom, like that. 1 foot's going down while the other one's coming up. So that's just the mountain climber on an angle. Where's the push-up part? Here's the push-up part. We're going to break it into 10 and 10. So this is how you count the mountain climber. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the mountain climber. Here's the push-up part. You're just going to drop down a little bit. And if you can't do this, don't worry about it. Just keep doing the mountain climber. It ends up being 20 mountain climbers in that case. So you do the regular mountain climber, and then you bend your elbows a little and continue in this position. This can be pretty challenging. So you're doing 10 of these. So it's a straight arm mountain climber and then a slightly bent at the arm mountain climber. That's all that it is. This way you're engaging triceps, you're engaging pecs, core, back. And it's very cardio. I'm starting to get a little out of breath. So let me give you the full example. This would be the full 20. This is a regular mountain climber and the push-up included. Looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. A mountain climber, and then you drop down into a push-up. 10 and 10. So far we have the squat, which is 15 squats. This is the circuit I'm talking about. 15 squats, and then into the mountain climber. So let me just show you what that would look like. You know what? I'll use a chair. Just for those of you that are beginners, it's perfectly fine. All right, so use that chair. So it's 15 squats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can even use your hands with the chair. 6, 7, 8. If you're out of breath now, just walk around. 9. You can just take a break if you need to, right? Don't worry about it. Just do the best that you can do. Showing up is the key. What was I at? 8 or 9? I don't know. Let's see. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then into the mountain climber push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then down. 1. You could just drop it down an inch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are the first 2 moves. 15 squats and 20 of the mountain climber push-up. If you can't do the push-up part, just do 20 of the mountain climbers. And remember, if it's too hard to even do 20, start where you are. Do however many you can. Jot it down. Challenge your body. Create the demand. That's the key. No one will know. If you're doing it at home alone, it's your own personal challenge, right? Don't be a perfectionist about it. Just do the best that you can. Your body will adapt. It's magic what happens when you just stick to it and believe in yourself with it, right? It's really important. Perfectionism is probably the number one nemesis for a successful fitness program. I'm going to say that again. Perfectionism is the nemesis of a successful fitness program. Why? Because if you think, oh, I've got to do all the numbers that he suggests, as he suggests it, and if I can't, then, I'm not going to succeed. You're going to overwhelm yourself. And you're not going to exercise. You're not going to believe that you can develop your fitness. So make sure that you just show up and do the best that you can. Some days you're going to be better than others. Okay? This is just the nature of it. People think that my fitness programs are always, on top of the world. Yeah, I have these world records in fitness. No. Those are days that I, did the best that I could, and I set some world records. But in general, I have hit or miss days. But I show up. That is the big secret to building muscle, to strengthening bone, to gaining fitness. It's just showing up. It's 90% of the game. And then having a safe program takes you the rest of the way. So, enough said. But it is a very important idea to understand that you have to be gentle on yourself. Consistent. Gentle, but consistent. So, there we have it. The squat, and then we have the mountain climber push-up. And now we're going to go on the floor. We're going to do the banana, or you can do the dead bug. The banana is this position. Arms alongside the ears. Leg lift off the floor, pushing the lower back into the floor. Dead bug is similar, but your feet are up. Arms are pointing up. Shoulder blades off the ground. And you
It's going to be 1 minute of a hold, either one, or you can mix and match the two until you get good at the banana, which is the more challenging one for sure. You can always rest. In the beginning, it'd be helpful if you have a stopwatch to do this way, or just any kind of watch, so you could time yourself for the minute. And within that minute, you can take as many breaks as you want, come back to it, and eventually you hold it for the whole minute. Listen, it might take you 5 months, it might take you 1 week, doesn't matter. Just keep showing up and your body's going to adapt because you're creating a demand, right? So the Superwoman is the next one. We're going to go for 20 reps. Arms and legs open, close. Just like this. It's actually like a land swim, like you're swimming on land. 20 reps. And of course, you could do 5 reps, take a break. Do another 5 reps, take a break. Whatever you can do. Total of 20 reps. And then finally, the reverse plank. So these last 2 moves were the back exercises. Superman, Superwoman. It's all for the back chain. Now we're in the reverse plank. Move this chair here. Now we're in the reverse plank. Basically, if you can sit like this, you're almost there. Fingers pointing out. As wide as you can have those arms, right? And your legs are not going to be completely straight and not bent at the legs, so your feet are flat on the ground. Somewhere in between, so you can push your heels down into the floor. And you're going to lift your hips off the ground and stay there. You're going to try to stay there for a minute as you dig your heels down and back into the ground. So it might help to have shoes or a very cushy mat so your heels are protected. So this is flexing right now my hamstrings, my buttocks. I feel the muscles of my back. I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together, opening up the rib cage. A beautiful thing is, if you go wide, really wide with this, it actually gets this third tricep muscle here, which is a weak area for everybody. So it's a fantastic way to get that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do the round for you so you get an actual visual on how this can go for you. I'm going to set my watch here, so we'll see how long this one takes me. I'll give it some moderate paces, but you go as fast or as slow as you want. It's totally up to you. You take as many breaks as you want. It might take you a lot longer in the beginning. It might take you 3 times as long as I'm going to do right now. Don't worry about it. Write it down and you'll eventually decrease the time, increasing your physical power. And when you do that, your body strengthens the muscles and builds bone. And this is all with non-impact, very, very low impact. Maybe the mountain climbers are a little bit of low impact, but it's very, very safe. Movements, total body fitness right here. So let me give it a shot. Starting with 15 squats. Of course, you can use the chair if you need to. And here we go. So it's 15 squats. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you have to use your hands, 10. It's okay. 11. Whatever you need. 12, 13, 14, 15. Mountain climber push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then down on the floor. Looking at my watch. Here we go for the dead bug. I'll go for the dead bug. Woo! Keep that breathing deep. Shoulder blades are off the ground. Eyes are looking straight up. Pretend you have a little ball between your chin and your chest. If you feel like your neck is trying to help you too much, then just rest, right? You know, that was one rest. I'm going to try to go for a minute. But make sure not to strain. You want to get uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be torturous, right? So I got 30 more seconds here. If you want more of a challenge, you do the banana. Woo! Definitely engaging the core. Suck that belly button down into the floor. Push the lower back into the floor. You got 9, 8, 7, 6, or the dead bug, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Flipping onto your stomach. Superwoman, Superman, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then the reverse plank. Roughly a minute. Pushing the heels into the floor. Hands as wide as I can have them. Digging those heels down. Lift your hips up so you flex your glutes. Lower back, right between the shoulder blades. Push the chest out. When you need to take a break, you just take a break, you shake it out. 30 seconds left. And eventually, if I were to practice this, I'd make it through the whole minute. Breathing is deep. So this is isometric. Definitely builds strength. Stimulates those electrical impulses to build muscle, build bone. And relax. There you go. So that was about 3.5 minutes, the way I just did it. 10 calories roughly. Now here's the thing. 10 calories doesn't sound like much when we're talking about 2,000 per week. But it's not just about the calories, it's about the hormones. Walking will not stimulate hormones like what we just did. When you get uncomfortable, when you flex deeply into those muscles, when you go up against gravity, you're stimulating hormones. And that is going to affect how you burn body fat, the texture of your skin, how you build muscle, and of course, the bone health. Very important.
All right, so that's our 10 calorie circuit. I'm feeling invigorated. Hopefully some of you might have tried that along with me. And remember, you work out at your own level. You just try to get as close to the numbers as you can, and your body will adapt. That is creating the demand to produce the growth hormone, to stimulate the muscle strength and increasing the bone density, and all with no impact, hardly any equipment. You could do it at home. You've got all that it takes to empower yourself in muscular strength, building endurance, and strengthening your bones. So those are some examples of what we do at workoutwizard.net. Of course, we have a whole host of different things that we add on to that for total body conditioning. You're welcome to come take a look at what we do. Take a look at the website, workoutwizard.net, and have a long, healthy, powerful life. And I hope to see you working out at some point. Be well. Thank you. And by the way, if you want to refer back to this workout routine, if you need a written list of it, you can go to my website, www.workoutwizard.net, and it's all there for you.